Okay, hello everybody. We are in a strange location today.
It's not that strange. This is my home.
And there's going to be some tripod movement, like just there. Perhaps some dogs, perhaps some children, perhaps some husbands making some noise.
I only have one husband.
Camera.
Let's be clear about that.
But can you not rule out that another husband in the vicinity will be making noise?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be a little different today. We just saw Jungle Cruise.
We did.
So I've got some talking points. We're going to talk about it. Some jerk was talking throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot of what happened in the movie because I was talking. I kept talking during the movie. So you said at the beginning of the movie that you thought it was going to be like it's fine. It's fine. That you thought it was going to be like Jumanji.
Yeah, I was hoping for that because
Which you said you liked Jumanji.
Yes, not Jumanji.
Jumanji.
I like
Jumanji sounds like a new craze in frozen yogurt.
Oh, I was going to say like a lunch meat.
Or that. It's a lunch meat made from frozen yogurt. So, on a scale of 1 to Jumanji, how Jumanji was this movie for you?
I would say that it was probably 5.
A 5 in terms
Like if
of
we're going
Jumanji.
on like a 10-point scale, 5.
Okay, so I wrote down, because we also mentioned the Mummy. You mentioned the Mummy.
I did.
And then I kept referencing the Mummy.
And now you're gonna watch the movie.
So, and now I am. So Jumanji, Mummy, and Pirates of the Caribbean. What order, so like, which of those 3 movies do you think this movie was most like, and then least like? So it had the most of this movie, and then this movie, and then this movie.
I just couldn't help but like, with McGregor, who's the brother of our main character
Okay,
here.
because I don't remember any of the names of the characters.
McGregor is the brother.
Every time I hear McGregor, I think of
Ewan McGregor?
Batman and Robin.
Oh, I think of
And
like
McGregor syndrome.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Which is
and
what,
Generation, I think.
That's
McGregor.
what Alfred and Mr. Freeze's wife is dying from, is McGregor syndrome. It's a child playing with the tripod. That's why there's not an earthquake happening. No worries. It's fine. Continue. I interrupted you.
But I would say I just kept coming back to like the brothers, so McGregor and Jungle Cruise, and how the similarities to Jonathan from The Mummy. I just kept going. I was like, not a lot of like dynamicness in this character. He was very static.
He was not as good of a character as Jonathan. Is that what you're?
No, definitely
Right,
not. But
okay.
that's the movie it reminded me of.
Right. So it felt like he felt like Diet Jonathan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I would agree with that. So, does that mean that you think there was more Mummy than Jumanji in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's the whole curse aspect of it.
Right.
And, Jumanji
Which
has
is
that
in
too.
both?
Yeah, it was in both. And then...
And also Pirates.
Yes. Yeah, lots of that.
Kia.
And then...
Kia.
Yes, Kita. And then, with both movies, I mean, well, with Jumanji, it's set more in, like, the jungle,
Right.
which is where we're at here.
Right.
That was one of my favorite parts when he didn't understand when he was saying jungle in the movie through his German accent. That was really funny to me.
It went a little long for me, but
Yeah. So,
okay.
But there were lots of different connections that were going on there. That's
So, I think it's the characters from The Mummy in the setting of Jumanji, but with a boat and cannibals from Pirates.
Yeah.
Are there cannibals in Jumanji?
No, there wasn't like extra people in Jumanji. Besides just like
There were
there was
other people in the...
but there wasn't like extra characters. It was just like the
Right.
characters besides Jonas at the end.
But like in Pirates 2, Dead Man's Chest, I think, there are the cannibals that want to eat Jack.
Yeah. Oh, peeky, peeky,
And there are
peeky,
cannibals
snippy,
in this
snippy.
movie, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Except they were talking about wearing eyes like marbles, and they were wearing toes.
Yeah, they were wearing toes in that movie. Jack, specifically.
Yeah.
So,
Chewing on the nail.
I would say Mummy, Jumanji, Pirates is kind of what this movie was going for. I didn't think it was.
But
good
I
as any of
definitely
those.
think it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't as good as any of those, which was such a shame because it has Dwayne the Rock Johnson in it.
Mm-hmm. I liked him.
Yes.
I liked his bad puns. He made a lot of them.
Yes.
I liked them all.
And then it has Emily Blunt in it, who I'm like such a sucker for. Devil Wears Prada, The Young Victoria, Mary Poppins.
I think this is my
Place.
favorite performance that I've seen from her, which I told you ahead of time.
it's
I've
very
only seen her in A Quiet Place, and what was the other one I said?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
You've seen Devil Wears Prada, though.
I have.
You have not? Oh, it's such a good movie.
And specifically Mary Poppins, I didn't think she did well, and I also didn't like the movie. A Quiet Place, thought she did fine. I just didn't like the movie.
It's
This
the only
one,
scary movie I've ever liked.
I
don't
think
like
that
scary
she
movies.
did well. There's a couple weird things that we might get to, but I thought she did well. They're just, I don't know. I like this movie better than A Quiet Place, so I think I liked her better in this movie than in that movie. So why, or what do you think this movie could have changed to make it more on par?
So, here's another movie connection for you.
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
Have you seen The Bridge to Terabithia?
No.
Okay.
Are there big spiders in that movie?
No. Okay, so The
what am
Bridge
I
to
thinking of?
Terabithia had like this whole lead up when it was giving like the trailer and the commercials on TV. It showed like all of like these enchanted and mythical creatures that were going to be in it. And they didn't show up until like the last 5 minutes in the movie.
Okay.
So then, as I mentioned to you while we were watching the movie, Jungle Cruise, I felt like we should have met our biggest, baddest bad guy earlier. Like, I think we should have met him so much earlier.
Okay. Now, was there one? Because there were 3 big bad guys.
Yeah, so not the German guy.
Okay.
Not the one with the submarine.
The scary, creepy.
What is it? Agrier? Is that how you pronounce his name?
I don't know. Akire.
Aguirre.
Something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think we should have gotten to those guys
Oh, yeah,
earlier?
so much sooner.
Especially because we get this like opening narration telling of the
curse.
not necessarily the curse, but the treasure. Which I didn't realize this was a treasure movie. I try not to watch trailers ahead of time
it's
now,
very similar to,
so I don't know if that was made clear in trailers.
It's very similar to Pirates of the Caribbean. Again,
Right.
aspect.
Yeah.
You know, search for the fountain of youth.
Right, and like Jumanji, they're looking for the whatever, and the Mummy, they're looking for the the Book of the Dead. It's all the same. But like, I didn't realize that they were looking for something. I knew she was. I knew that from the trailer, but I didn't realize it was like this big legend. Anyway, that's not really the point.
So is that
but
a surprise for you?
yeah, so like, because I asked you when the movie was starting, I was like, "Is this the movie?" Because I did not realize that was the kind of movie that this was. But we got this kind of fairy tale almost narration about the treasure, and you would have thought that they would have meant, and maybe they did, and I just didn't hear it because I was talking, but you would have thought that they would have said something about like others have gone, and legend tells that they've been consumed by the jungle. I feel like they'd said something about they were never seen again.
Yeah, remember when he mentions on the boat, he's like, everything in the jungle is out to kill you. So
Okay.
he points out the different places.
But that's, I'm talking about at the very beginning.
But they did do that at the very beginning,
Did
too.
they?
Yes, he
Okay.
was like, that was his second time mentioning it. Did
I'm
you miss
wrong.
both
I'm wrong.
times?
Well, you're talking about The Rock.
Yeah, so that was his second time mentioning it, and then there was like the fairy tale part at the beginning. That he
Okay,
mentioned it.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
They should have made that more obvious. Any other thoughts before I get to my talking point? I think the biggest problem was the brother.
Yeah.
And I asked you at one point if you think the brother's ever going to come through like Jonathan does.
Yeah.
They were never seen again.
Yeah, remember when he mentions on the boat, he's like, everything in the jungle is out to kill you. So
Okay.
he points out the different places.
But that's, I'm talking about at the very beginning.
But they did do that at the very beginning,
Did
too.
they?
Yes, he
Okay.
was like, that was his second time mentioning it. Did
I'm
you
wrong.
miss both
I'm wrong.
times?
Well, you're talking about The Rock.
Yeah, so that was his second time mentioning it, and then there was like the fairy tale part at the beginning. That he
Okay,
mentioned it.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
They should have made that more obvious. Any other thoughts before I get to my talking point? I think the biggest problem was the brother.
Yeah.
And I asked you at one point if you think the brother's ever going to come through like Jonathan does.
Yeah.
Do you think he ever did that? Because there's one scene where he does punch the prince out, but it comes out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's not built up, and he doesn't even really finish it because a rock happens to fall on him.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler.
And so there's a reveal about the character, and I feel like they really tone him down after that point, which feels like they're really, I don't know, like I don't have a problem with that character being that way, but it feels like they were really like, oh, you didn't like him, and now you know this about it, and now if you don't like him, you're a bad person. So like, you know what I mean? Feels like they really tried to force how you feel about the character without actually changing anything about the character. Mm-hmm. They just make him more of a jerk before we know this thing, and we just see less of him acting like that. But he's not actually growing as a character. Yeah. We're just not seeing...
He's very static.
Yes. As were most people in this movie.
Yeah. There was like that slight change. Like if we're talking about any character being dynamic, I would think like Frank, which is... Frank makes me money.
The Rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he is a point where, like, out of nowhere, they say, "Oh, when I get this flower, the tears of the moon, I'm gonna die." Like that's what he's choosing when he gets his.
So I'm gonna come back to that later. No, I'm glad you brought that up because clearly you paid more attention to the movie than I did. So we're gonna come back to that. Continue.
And so it's just like, it was at the very end that he mentions that's what's going to be happening. And then it was like, oh, no, I decided I'm in love with Lily, and, you know, she's my world. Like, she's enough for me, and I'm not going to kill myself when I have the flower.
Right.
So, spoiler. That's all.
And we'll get into more spoilers later. I feel like nothing we've said is too spoilery so far. The bad guy dies. The main characters fall in love. If you don't see that coming, I don't feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll wait until we're officially in a spoiler to ask my other question about that. Did you like this movie?
I thought it was okay.
I thought...
It's probably not one I would go out and buy, but if my daughter, you know, who's one, wanted to watch it,
right.
I would watch it with her.
I enjoyed the process of watching the movie. Mm-hmm. Probably more so than I would have because I kept making jokes and references to you.
Yeah, this is true.
But like the ending was just nothing for me. So I've said this about other movies, but if you can enjoy a movie regardless of how it ends, this movie's not hard to watch. There's a lot of funny things that happen in it, but it's not like it's gonna blow. It's not like it blew my mind with the ending or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna give an official spoiler warning now. I've got some talking points.
Alright, lay 'em on me.
Not all of these are spoilers, just some of them are, and I don't want to have to sort that out. So, twice, they play Metallica music.
Yes.
And the first time is at the very beginning, before we get the narration, when I didn't know if it was the movie or not.
Yeah.
And like, I like Metallica, but I'm like, why is there... And it's not the Metallica version. It's like an acoustic version of Nothing Else Matters, I think is the song. So like, that was kind of weird, but whatever. But then later on, is it... Oh my goodness, we've got a new cinematographer. Cinematographer. I can't remember if it was when we first see the bad guys, or maybe when they were all dying, but there's like this big moment... And they play that song again. And I was just like... Or maybe it was when he was talking about what happened 400 years ago. I think maybe that was it.
Was it? Because I thought it was... Yeah, it was.
Because I was just like...
Going back when he had hair.
I was like, do they think this is Italian Spanish music? Because it's not.
Yeah.
So that was just very strange. The first one, like, fine, whatever. But the second one, I think that's why it was so weird. Because it was like in that... flashback, and I'm just like, this is not European music.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. We already talked about Jumanji Mummy Pirates. We've talked about the brother, kind of. I think that's the weakest part of this movie. I asked you who would be a better actor to fill that role. You said Ed Helms.
Yeah.
I think that's a great choice. And I had asked you if he would be proper enough, and you pointed out that he went to Cornell.
He's a Cornell.
So of
man.
course he would. My first thought, and I tried to, because it doesn't fit with the setting of this movie, but my first thought was like a Kevin Hart. Like, just like upset about everything, and no, this isn't good enough, and no, I demand that I have my smoking jacket. Like,
Yeah, and it's,
it would not have made
Bad
sense at all,
man,
but it would have been way funnier. But then it would have been too much Jumanji.
yeah,
Because
it
he's
would've
in that
been
also.
bad.
So I was trying to think of someone else, but I couldn't. I just couldn't think of someone else. Alright, what do I have? Lily can't swim.
Yep, she can't swim.
Was that important to the story?
Yes. Well, because she couldn't, like, it was like a whole issue for jumping in the water.
Right. But then she jumped in the water and she could swim.
What, baby?
She got a hanger.
She's got a hanger.
It's very exciting.
My hanger. Yep. But that was about it. Like, she still went in the water. Like, there was, like, this little hesitation, and then she's like, okay,
Right.
I'm good.
So that's what I was, is that it didn't affect the story.
No.
They made it seem like, and then she gets like trapped in there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And then nothing happens. And like, you know, they're together for a while before that. They could have like built that up as like he's giving her swimming lessons in the meantime, and then they get there, and then
Or she, like, almost drowns before that.
or yeah, something like
In the
that.
rapids.
But like you can build that up ahead of time, and then when he's like, I can't fit in there, I'm too big, you have to go. Then it can be like a you can do this moment, but it's not built up at all.
Yeah.
And then it's just she does it.
Yeah.
And like, and she hangs on to him as they go down, but then once she's in there, she's just swimming.
She's swimming.
She's just swimming. So it's like, if you're gonna put something like that in, put it in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make it part of the story,
And
make it part
another
of the
part-
character, make it part of her arc.
Another part of that scene was the piranhas. It was like, they left little hickeys all over him. They didn't take any of his flesh or anything. Never, like, in one point of the movie was he, like, healing himself where, like, skin would come back. Like, he had scars places, so I was, like,
Right.
shocked that the piranhas didn't cause more damage.
So
in that scene.
what's weird is that we had seen piranhas before.
Mhm.
So the piranhas were set up better than her learning how to swim. Because that was something we saw almost right away.
Yeah.
Like the first day they were on the boat.
Yeah.
So that we would know when they showed up later, oh, those are the piranhas,
Yeah.
right? It was,
That live in the Amazon Nemo reference. Prince.
well, this movie is just so many other movies. Might as well be Nemo. What's a dolphin
Darla.
tail? Dolphin tail.
Oh, yeah. 'cause it's
Gotta have the river
dolphins
dolphins in
yeah.
there also. So yeah, that was just like, I kept waiting for that to be important, and it was never important. The Crying Moon. So this is, I don't know if you've seen the Hobbit movies.
Mm-hmm.
But
What are you
this
talking
is-
about? You don't know if I've seen the Hobbit movies.
This is the same thing that happens in the Hobbit movies.
Yes, it
They're
is.
like,
And
this
now-
can only happen
happened.
during this rare moon.
Yeah.
And then
it's like, it's 2 days from now.
literally, she's like, when is it? She's like, in 2 days. And it's
Yep.
like, and then they have to go somewhere else. How long is it going to take to get there? 2 days.
Yep.
It's like, why put that in
Yep.
if it's not going to matter?
Okay.
I don't get it. And I don't, they might have said how rare it is. I didn't pick up on that.
No,
It
I
did.
didn't hear that part.
But it was like, okay, is it just like one of the normal phases of the moon that they just call this other thing?
Well, because then it goes away, so like the leaves are disappearing, the petals, excuse me, are disappearing, and then but they grab one. Okay, remember? So here's that part. So I don't know if you
So
noticed that
you're,
part.
you're skipping ahead of it.
I'm skipping.
Right,
ahead.
okay.
No, I'm just saying like during the part. So they have the petals, right? The
Mhm.
moon is there. The moon is disappearing.
Yep.
Okay. She gets a petal, and then did you notice after the rock comes back to life? Like
One more petal shows up.
But they never grab. They never show them grabbing it, and they never show you using it. Them using it at the end of the movie. they didn't. They said like, "Oh, my sister, you know, she's a professor
I assume
now."
they just took it with them.
Yeah, but there was like no big moment of her bringing it back and like woman's triumph and stuff like that. And
We're
going
gonna come
like,
back to that too.
Okay, all right.
The woman's part. No, it's fine. The fact that you're bringing up points that I have to bring up is a good thing.
Oh,
It means
okay.
we both picked up on the same things. Yeah, no, I forgot about. Like, I remembered that there was a second pedal, but I forgot about it while watching the movie because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because all that matters is love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I just assumed that they used a sample of it or something and found out that she was right and that's how she got in. Because obviously she had to show them something to get into Cambridge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we focus more on the brother being snooty to all these men and girl power than the thing that the whole movie was about.
No.
Unless the whole movie was actually about girl power.
Which is fine.
Which I would buy.
There's
if you
lots
tell
of
me
stuff.
that.
I mean, at the very beginning, that was about
Girls can wear pants. It's fine.
writing under a pen name.
So yeah, the next thing I wrote down was the last pedal. Because it's not exciting enough to just get a pedal before they're all done. She had to literally get the last pedal. Is this going to be a problem that your child is in the video?
No,
Okay.
she just sees herself
Yeah,
and she's
it's exciting.
copied herself.
Right,
It's
yeah.
great. She's got pizza all over her face.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it was just another. Towards the end of this movie, there were just a lot of like, come on, come on, it's got to be under a moon. When is it? In 2 days. Come on, we got to get to this place. How long does it take? 2 days. Come on, we got to get this pedal before the moon goes away. It's like
And
the
then it
moon.
came back.
The moon is still there, just because you can't see it from your perspective on the ground, and that the tree's much higher than you are. The moon's still there, but no, she gets the very last pedal, and then unrelated to the moon, one more pedal, and I wrote that down too. I wrote down another pedal out of nowhere, not related to the moon. It doesn't show the moon.
Yes, it
Does
does.
it?
Yes, it
I
does.
must have
Because
had
remember
my
when he
head turned.
rams the boat to stop the river? It knocks down some of the building, and so then it reveals the moon again upon the tree.
All right, I am half wrong on that latter point, but it brings back
That's fine.
exactly one pedal,
So
not like a chunk of the tree
Yeah,
that the moon
no.
was exposed to. One single pedal.
Yeah, there's just one. There's like a little beam.
Did you know before they got to the tree that they were going to have to make it bloom? Was that something they explained?
No.
Because they get there and he's like, "You're going to have to make this tree bloom." I'm like, "It's not how trees work, dude." And then they just do. And I'm like, "All right, I guess that's how this tree works."
No.
Whatever. So the Rock, when he is telling his story from 400 years ago,
Yeah.
says that he trapped them in this pit
Yes.
where the river couldn't bring them back.
Yep.
Why couldn't it just pick them up out of the pit?
I don't know. It was like what movie reference am I thinking of now? When they get pulled in the wall and turned into stone. You know, they got the Pirates of the Caribbean
I was gonna
reference,
say
like
it-
part of the ship.
Well, that's what it made me think
And
of,
then
especially because one of them
there's
has that exact like
Star
wood-
Wars reference. Star Wars
What was
reference. Because like Han Solo.
Oh, the carbonite.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
You coming up or you coming
someone else was part of the wall. Like what happened in some movie? There was like someone who got like magic powers and put it in the wall. Oh,
It's my favorite movie.
X-Men. There we go. In X-Men, isn't there one scene? I think it's in what is it, Dark Phoenix, where like they get changed and like put into the wall, and like that's how like one of them.
Apocalypse, maybe?
Maybe.
That sounds like an apocalypse
then
power
probably
that he
Apocalypse,
used
yeah.
once to never
Yeah,
again.
I think it was in that movie.
Also,
I could be wrong.
Thanos does that to War Machine, I think, in Endgame, when they're all like attacking him as he gets to Wakanda,
Yes.
or Infinity War, not Endgame, and he's like, "You're in a mountain now." I think that's War Machine. I forget what topic brought us to this point.
We were talking about the in the wall and how they couldn't be
Right.
taken out.
Well, we were
taken
talking
back
about
to
the Rock's
river.
story. Oh, okay. But did you understand why the vines couldn't just pick them up out of the pit? Because then at the end, when he's steering the boat towards the wall, she's like, "He's gonna block off the river." I'm like, "They're in the river."
Yeah, but
They're-
it was gonna be like a dam.
But like, if you use a boat to crash into something, you're still in the room. Like, I don't know. I didn't buy that. I thought it was weak. Again, there's just things that happen in this movie that I'm just like, you could have set that up. And some of them I just wasn't paying attention for. So it's on me. I'm probably going to have to watch this movie. But yeah, that was confused. Next, I just wrote down toilet humor.
Yes.
Because
how many times did you get up to?
I stopped counting at 11.
Okay.
We started with some fart jokes. And then we got some pee jokes.
Like the wave came up on her. He's like, haha, you pee.
Well, no, because the brother pees his pants at one point.
Oh, yeah, when the...
He's got liquid fear.
Yeah.
When the jaguar attacks. And then we get some outhouse jokes. And then there's some other stuff. And then the scene where we pretend that the sword... She's right here.
Bye. She's saying bye. She's
You bye? You driving away?
Yeah.
In the buttercream gang? Bye. When the sword is sticking out of him, we get lots of male anatomy jokes. And I just stopped counting after I got past 11.
There was a lot there.
Because there was a lot there. So, farts and pee and poop are really funny in this movie. He should be dead is my next note. So you said that he said that in the movie? I didn't catch that. But in my mind, he's alive because of the curse. So if he breaks the curse, he should be dead, right?
But yeah, so like that brings like the whole like tangle theme, you know, with Mother Gothel. Like once the flower is gone, then she like turns to ash. She's no longer that beautiful.
So then when like, so they're talking earlier, and Lily's like, "You can come to London," and I'm just like, how does she think that's going to happen? And then that's when I said to you that I thought they were going to do some kind of loophole like in Pirates of the Caribbean where Davy Jones can't set foot on land, but he's in a bucket of water. So I'm like, they're just going to, I didn't say this specifically, but I thought they were going to put some of the river in a little jar, and he was going to wear like a little necklace and take the river with him. Because I'm like, how else could he leave the river? And then he said something about, I have to make a choice, and I choose to rest. I'm like, do you think that when you take this pedal, the part of the curse that's keeping you bound to the river is going to be broken? But the part that's keeping you alive, you get to choose whether or not that is broken? So I was very confused about that. And then...
Especially since that wasn't mentioned in, like, the legend part in the beginning.
What even happens to him? He gets out, right, of the rock. Does he leave with them?
Yeah, he leaves with them at the very end. Remember, they're in the car and he's doing his
right. Yeah, he's driving a car.
Auto.
But he should absolutely be dead, or very, very, very old. So that's strange. We're welcoming Olaf to the video now, and a marshmallow.
No, toilet paper.
This
is how I roll. More toilet humor!
Perfect. Okay, we already talked about another pedal. My last note is ladies can't do that because ladies can't do anything.
Apparently not.
I don't know if you knew that. They can't wear pants.
No.
They can't write papers.
No.
They certainly can't be a part of college.
No. And they can't go on adventures.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Emily Blunt does all of that.
Right, so
I appreciated the girl power piece of it. I just wish she would have been the one to go back and speak for herself at the end.
Yeah, it's really weird to have the movie ends with the brother saying, "Hey, girls can do anything," to a room full of men while the woman is not on screen, which is very strange. Yeah. Throughout the movie, The Rock calls Emily Blunt's character Pants. Because he's never seen a woman in pants before. You had a theory. Do you want to explain your theory, or should I?
So, like, the whole time, I had, like, this inkling that Frank, The Rock, was not telling us something.
Right.
And so I thought maybe he was part of the curse, which I was right about.
Yes.
I was wrong in the way he was part of the curse. Right. I thought maybe he was a woman, and he was, like, so excited to see a woman in pants because she was a man in pants.
Right.
But that ended up not panning out.
I think that it would have been way more interesting because I think the thing they were going for was that he's so old. That's such a foreign concept to him. But it's like, but it wouldn't be any more foreign than anything else. So the fact that he focuses in on that. So when she said that, I thought, oh, he was maybe, he was a woman before he got cursed into this body, Jumanji style.
Yeah.
And maybe she wanted to be an adventurer, and she, tried wearing pants and stuff like that, and was not allowed to do it, right? And like maybe that was a big thing. So I was like, oh, that could actually be interesting, and like he's living vicariously through Lily, and then maybe at the end, she gets to go on her own adventures after she's transformed back, and it's just, no, he's just old, and women don't normally wear pants.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. So yeah, I don't know. It was just, it's hard for me to comment on girl power messages because I'm not a girl, but it just felt like with everything else that they had in this movie,
could have been done better.
Well, and just
in a lot of ways,
just make a movie with the powerful female protagonist, right? Like Emily Blunt does a great job being the protagonist in this movie. She leads the whole thing. Much better than her brother. I think if we're talking about the Mummy character archetypes, I think she's better at what she's doing than Rachel Weisz as the librarian in that movie. Brendan Fraser and The Rock, I think, are about equal based on what they're trying to do. And then the brother, I think, is worse. So it's like, this is kind of weird. I think the woman is better. The adventurer is on par, and then the brother is what really, really drags it down for me. But yeah, it's like, just make a good movie with a powerful woman.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they're patting themselves on the back. Like, oh, look, this is how other people think, but we made this movie about a strong woman, so we don't think like that. And it's like, if you really didn't think like that, you wouldn't think about it. It wouldn't be a thing that was brought up. So yeah, I just felt a little on the nose to me.
It's forced.
But, if there are little girls that watch this movie and they're like, yeah, then, fine, I guess. Yeah. Any last thoughts on this movie?
I mean, it was good to go and hang out at the movies. I was excited about that.
We actually met at the movies.
Yeah, the movies. We did.
At a showing of a movie.
Yeah, on campus.
Not in a theater. On a college campus. Do I have any last thoughts on Jungle Cruise? So, I think I mentioned in the video, I'm probably going to see it again so I can pay better attention to it. And I'm not
not talk to me in the movie the whole time.
Well, yeah.
And me talk to you.
It was very much me making the majority of the distracting comments.
The rock becomes a rock.
He felt like a rock. But I'm not like, oh, I gotta go see it again. I'm like, yeah, I should probably go watch it again. I'm not looking forward to seeing it again. Because everything has to be a franchise nowadays. How would this, what's a sequel to this look like? Do we do a sequel, or do we do another story in the world of Jungle Cruise?
I think it should be a prequel.
Prequel. The Rock 400 years ago?
Yeah.
The Mountain?
I think. Yes. I think they should go back to the beginning because there's the little story that they have for the legend where it's all about the daughter being really sick and stuff like that. And they just talk about
I forgot about that. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
I think that would be good.
What would Jungle Cruise 2? Cruising for a Bruise? Jungle Bruise.
Or it could just
Jungle
be,
Crew.
Yeah. Or it could just be the
Something
jungle
else.
because there's not a cruise there.
Jungle Cruise, Welcome to the Jungle. Really Jumanji it up.
And then they could get that music going.
Metallica. I did think of one more quick thing. So all the bad guys except The Rock have these weird mutations. One of them is bee person. One of them is wood plant person.
Yeah.
And one of them is snake person, who was very much like Van Pelt in the newer Jumanji movies.
Yeah.
Lots of snakes. But at one point, it was Lily, right? It was
What?
Emily Blunt is wearing the outfit like almost exactly that Van Pelt wears in the original Jumanji with Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like which Jumanji?
Maybe we should have known that was going to hint cannibalism there.
Jumanji is not a Disney property, so it seems weird that there's some pretty strong Jumanji vibes in this movie. Mm-hmm. But I guess you do a movie in the jungle with The Rock, you're gonna have Jumanji vibes. Paul Giamatti is in this movie.
Yeah. You didn't like his accent.
I did not like his accent. Well, I didn't mind the accent. I just didn't feel like he looked like the type of character he was supposed to be playing. But his name's Giamatti. Is that not? Is he Italian?
Yeah, I think he's Italian.
He just doesn't seem Italian to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm racist. But no, he's in this movie. He's another bad guy. We didn't really talk about the prince.
Or why he wants to own all the boats. And why he was happy to own the pieces that were left of the boat.
Well, he wants to sell the boats just so that he can control
he's like harbor master,
the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a,
Hobbit
vibe.
I will say, I made a comment to you, and I don't know if you heard it earlier on in the movie. Because The Rock is like hard out for cash. Like he's trying to scam these people to get more money. Mm-hmm. And I said something along the lines of, if he wouldn't build all these weird contraptions and hire all these actors,
yeah, exactly,
he'd have more money, right? Because he sets all this stuff up along his route to
always
make
a con.
But after seeing the movie, I'm like, I guess if he's got 400 years, right? Like, might as well build this thing, and he's not doing it all at once. Mm-hmm. And he might not be hiring those guys. He might just be like, hey, we've got some history. You're not doing anything else.
You know how old I am.
Right, might as well help me out with this thing. So that was something that I thought was dumb early on. That I was like, okay, not as dumb as I thought by the end. What country was the prince supposed to be from?
Germany, because they were talking about the war, and he spoke German.
Did Germany have a prince in World War I or II? Whichever war this was supposed to take place during?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But he's always talking about the war.
Yeah.
And it's not like a thing, like even in the beginning where it was like a letter, it's like, we're in a war, we've got to get this kind of thing. She was more of like the humanitarian type, but there was no mention of a war until he came along. So that was like off to the side.
At the very beginning, when MacArthur.
McGarity? Wait. Now you've got me on
my stuff. When
McGregor. There we go.
McGregor syndrome, that's right. When he was addressing the stuffy old white dudes, it said, I forget what year it was, but it was like 2 years into the Great War. So it set that up. It just didn't matter. Yeah. Except maybe to the prince. And
you never said what he was going to use the pedal for.
Again, I assume just to own it and make money.
He just said to help win the war. That's
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense. If you give it to your soldiers or whatever. I don't know. It breaks curse. But I feel like if you can get one, you can.
He was hoping to get all
duplicate.
of them.
He wanted all of them. But even if it's just one, I feel like you can, run a chemical analysis.
On magic?
And, yeah. Okay. This is like my other big thing. Emily Blunt is smart.
Very.
Learned. Right? Why would she believe in this legend?
Because her father told it to her in her stories, remember? That was like something near and dear to her father.
Fathers lie to their children. Fathers tell their children stories. So this is, because in The Mummy, what's her name? Rachel Weisz is the actress.
Yeah, I know.
She doesn't believe in the legend. No. And she thinks it's silly until she finds out she's wrong. And Brendan Fraser, he does. And he's telling her, he's like, don't mess with this stuff, don't mess with it, right? It's weird that she believes in this legend. But if she didn't, why would she be going there? Like, I wish it was more... There was a lot of the movie that I didn't understand the importance of the arrowhead. But then it turned out that they needed it to break it to get something else.
But it was also like a map too, like it was a riddle.
There was stuff. I didn't realize that until literally the point that she was reading it. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe they said that, I don't know. But I feel like they could have done it where there's supposedly some artifact there, non-magical artifact, right? So it's like a regular treasure thing, where she could believe in that. As to why she would want that, because that doesn't really fit her character. I don't know. Maybe it could be more of a thing that the brother wants. It says something. So the brother's gay. We haven't actually mentioned that. And he says something along the lines of, "She's the only one that stood by me, so I'll do anything for her." If there had been some other backstory where, like, he helped her out of some situation, and so now she's got his back, and he wanted this treasure, even though she was like, "This legend's not real, it's not true, blah, blah, blah." I think that would have fit better. And that would also explain why he's there. Because he says he has her back, but she doesn't need him. He serves no purpose or function.
Yeah, he's a younger brother. He's not a big brother.
Right, there's no reason that he's there. So I think him being there would have more, it would make more sense if he was the one that wanted to go, which would be a lot like one of the characters in The Mummy, on the American side, right? There's like the professor that hires all these other people. And so then she would go with, even though she doesn't necessarily believe in it, just because this is what he wants to do, and you know, I owe him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And again, I don't feel like I have a ton of room to talk on these topics because I'm straight, but like, the fact that he's gay does not play into the story, which I don't think it has to play into the story. Like, a character can just be gay, but it's just done for a reveal. And we kind of hinted at it before. We're shown so many things to make us dislike this character. He's such an idiot, he's such a buffoon, he pees his pants, blah, 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 so that we dislike him. I think I even asked you at one point, I'm like, are we supposed to like this guy?
You did, yeah.
And then they do the reveal that he's gay, and it's almost like a, ha! Now you have to like him or you're a bad person. And it's just like, I can dislike a gay character because they're a bad character. And he's a bad character. And you could have kept that in, but still had him come through for her at some point. And I think that would have made more sense for her character. Because it just doesn't make sense to me that she would believe in this legend. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they said when their dad died. But it's just like, does she believe every story that her dad told her? Like, why this one specifically? Why did that stick out to her? It just seems odd. You would think a character...
He's the one who gave her the arrow. Or no, he's not the one who gave her the arrowhead.
Yeah, she stole that.
Yeah, because she stole that. He just told me the legend of it. How did she know that he was even there? Anyways, lots of questions. It leaves me with.
How did she? Where? Well, I guess because the brother was asking to see it.
Yeah, he wanted to see it. So how did? But he
was
asking on her behalf.
Right, but it must have just been public knowledge that this university was getting a shipment of artifacts from this place relating to it would have been in all the papers. So I get that makes sense. But like, yeah, I just why did she believe this? Maybe some kind of a flashback scene of little Lily with her dad would have sold that more. Yeah. But just you would expect I would expect a character like that to be a skeptic. And the fact that she's so certain of it, especially in spite of I can't swim and I'm going to tell you to go to go through the rapids, which would have been a bigger deal if we knew at that point, the whole 2 days thing, because we find out later it saves them 2 days. So they would have missed it if they hadn't have gone to the rapids, but they didn't know that at that point.
Yeah.
So that would have made more sense if that happens afterwards.
That's so true.
And he's like, we need to go the safe way. And she's like, well, no, this will save us 2 days, and it's going to take us 4 days if we go that way, and we only have 2 days. Like, that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Then you can have your fancy action scene. Wait, I don't think it needed that action scene.
It would have been better if she would have fallen overboard.
That would have been better, too, and that could have been, like, a catalyst for, like, okay, maybe you should teach me how to swim. And then that would have built up more to the part where she has to swim. The pieces are there. They're just in the wrong order. And the piece about her learning to swim is not there. All right. Any other ramblings?
I don't think so, except for the ones from my child.
This is like like I feel like I'll go to a movie. I'll be like, this was done, this was done, this was done, this was done, and I was like, I enjoyed the movie though. Like I thought it was fun. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna see it again. It just could have been way better.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been like, because I really like The Mummy. I really like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not the biggest fan of Jumanji, but like
I
like the original Jumanji.
so much.
I don't like the newer ones as much as the original, I think.
Both are so
But
good.
I'm like ready for the next one. So I think this could have been on par with the Jumanji, or like that tier of film. But it didn't have all the right pieces in the right order for me.
Oh.
So
Yeah, that's what it left us feeling. Oh.
that's right. Any last thoughts from the child?
Jovi, you got any thoughts? Yeah, what are you going to say?
Can we get her to wave bye to the camera?
You say wave
that would
bye?
That would be cute.
Wave bye.
Bye. Perfect.